She entered the glass-walled conference room at Nextech, and the temperature seemed to drop instantly. No fancy designer bag, no high heels, no expensive watch, just a quiet woman in worn shoes, her hair tied back in a ponytail, and a simple folder held close to her chest. The HR director raised an eyebrow, muttering loud enough for everyone to hear. "She looks like she picked that outfit from a lost and found." A sharply dressed man in a pinstripe suit, another candidate, quickly added, "We're interviewing people, not collecting charity cases." Laughter rippled through the room. The panel barely glanced at her resume, eyes scanning her as if she didn't belong, like someone had forgotten to cancel her appointment. But Ella Martinez stood firm, her face composed, the folder still in her hand. They had no idea. They didn't know that the man who built this company was her husband. Ella handed her answers back. Done. Tyler yawned loudly. Diane scrolled on her phone. Laura muttered, "She's just writing nonsense." Ella passed the paper to Greg, who glanced at the corner before tearing it in half slowly. The room went silent, the sound of tearing sharp. He threw it in the trash, sneering, "Bare minimum. You're not even close." Tyler went further. He grabbed a pitcher of water from the table and dumped it over Ella's head, soaking her blouse and skirt. Laughing, "Cool off, dreamer." Greg joined in. "She's a mess now." Laura snapped a picture. Viral gold. Water dripped down Ella's face, pooling at her shoes, but she didn't react. She stood there unfazed. They had no idea that no matter how much they tried to knock her down, she wasn't going anywhere. Diane grabbed her phone and called for security. "Intruder alert," she said. Tyler laughed. "Escort her out. She's a stain on the room." Mark grinned. "Don't trip, sweetheart." Two guards in black polos stormed in, badges shining. One grabbed her arm, and the other snatched her folder. Mark took it further, grabbing her folder from her hands and tearing it to pieces, the scraps fluttering around like confetti. "No room for fakes here," he barked. Diane cheered. "Rip her dreams apart." Tyler tossed a pen at her. "Write your sob story somewhere else." The pieces of her resume scattered across the floor as Ella knelt to pick them up, fingers steady despite the sting. Mark kicked them across the carpet. "Stay down, nobody." Ella didn't fight back. She just stood. Her calmness was a barrier they couldn't break. They were two broke kids, no sleep, no money. He wired the hardware, she built the AI. Every system they made, her mind was the foundation. They hadn't just missed her resume, they had humiliated the woman he loved most. He pointed at Diane, Greg, Tyler, Laura, and Mark. "Repeat what you said yesterday. Now." The room fell silent as the tech team flicked on the security footage. The sound echoed through the room. Diane's words hissed. "She looks like a student applying for a part-time job." Tyler's laugh followed. "Janitorial services. Where's the mop?" Greg sneered. "No experience, wrong major." Laura added, "Try retail." Mark joked, "Out of her depth." Greg again, "Dressed for the flea market." Tyler's final jab, "Mailroom's hiring." The boardroom froze. Shareholders shifted uncomfortably. Investors stared at the screen, watching it all unfold. Diane's red blazer looked like a shroud now. Her marker had become a noose. She had defaced the woman who created the code behind their empire. Her hands shook as she faced the board. Her smug hiss replayed for millions, and her career crumbled to dust. Greg's Rolex dangled uselessly, his coffee splashed a stain he couldn't remove. He'd soaked the brain behind their profits, and the trash he dumped on her buried him. Tyler's suit drooped, his water dump a permanent scar. He drenched the heart of Stormcp, and now the doors of his dynasty slammed shut. Investors jeered as his laughter faded into nothing. The screen burned their shame into history. Every sneer, every jab was a nail in their coffins. Ella's quiet rise was the hammer that drove it in. Elias didn't flinch. "You tore her test, solved it perfectly, faster than you could dream. You threw coffee. You called security. Say it again." Diane's lips quivered. "I can't." Tyler stared at his shoes, silent. Greg rasped, "Mistake." Laura whispered, "We didn't know." Mark croaked, "Sorry." Elias leaned in. "Sorry's nothing. You've shown me who you are. Small, cruel, blind. Stormcp doesn't carry trash. He nodded at security. Same guards, same uniforms. Take them. They're finished. The room held its breath as the guards moved in. Diane's blazer dragged, Greg's Rolex swayed, Tyler's tie flopped, Laura's glasses slipped, and Mark's buzz cut bowed. The fallout was swift and unforgiving. Diane, Greg, Tyler, Laura, and Mark were fired on the spot. Their badges ripped from their chests. They were marched out, humiliated, as the board watched. Shareholders nodded, investors furiously typing. Laura's glasses couldn't hide her downfall. She had shredded the work of Stormcp's architect, and now her resume was nothing but trash. Her smug photos were now a viral curse. Mark's buzz cut was low, his folder torn apart. He had ripped apart the woman who built their world, and his fall echoed through the room as he hit rock bottom, begging for mercy. Meanwhile, Ella's coin glittered in his palm. The boardroom's silence roared with their ruin. Every laugh, every jab came back to destroy them. Elias's calm wrath and Ella's steady gaze were the final blow. Their own words, the rope that hanged them. Stormcp blacklisted them. Their names burned in the industry. No company would hire them. Their resumes shredded, their calls blocked, their LinkedIn profiles abandoned. Diane's blazer hit a thrift store rack. Greg's Rolex was pawned for rent. Tyler's dynasty crumbled. Laura's glasses sold for scraps. And Mark's swagger turned to dust. Their titles, their reputations, their lives erased in an instant. All because they mocked a woman they didn't understand. 6 months later, rain lashed down at a downtown station. Commuters rushed by, umbrellas snapping. Greg Palmer slumped against a wall. Once a Stormcp executive, now unshaven, his coat torn, holding a cardboard sign that read, "Please help." His Rolex was gone. The sneer he once wore had faded, his fingers trembling in the cold. Ella walked by, her hair still tied in that ponytail, now wearing a navy coat. She'd just delivered a keynote at an AI ethics summit, her voice shaping the future while his world had collapsed. She paused, reached into her pocket, pulled out a shiny quarter, and dropped it into his palm. The man who had mocked her now held her coin. She met his eyes for a moment, a faint smile flickering, then walked away. Her flats tapped softly, her strength quiet but undeniable. That coin wasn't pity, it was justice. Cold, sharp, and final. Ella didn't need to shout. She let their own rot bury them. She had forged Stormcp's heart, and they had trampled on it. Elias had turned their world to ash. Now she stood taller while they sank lower, a lesson carved into their fall.